Hello friends, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to discuss about the pollen morphotypes. So the aim of the practical is to study pollen morphotypes of different plant species. So before starting to this one, we must know what is meant by the pollen morphotypes. So pollen morphotype is nothing but the study of pollen morphology. See that whenever we are working in the area of taxonomy, morphological characters all the time they are not much sufficient to differentiate in between two plants. In the field we are not going to recognize that what is the difference in between these two plants. So there is a confusion to identify or giving the name to that particular species. So for those species which are highly confusing one, so for them what we have to do, we can collect the pollens of that both the species and observe it under the microscope. So we can get some differentiating characters in between both the species related to shape of the pollen grain, related to the size of pollen grain, then the number of apertures which are present to that pollens, and according to that pollen morphology we are going to recognize the differences in between these two plants. So in this way these pollen morphotypes they are really helpful for the taxonomies. Now we are moving towards the principle of that practical. So see that what is the pollen morphotypes, what is the principle behind that. So see that the characterization of pollen morphotypes, it is a combination of characters which are related to size, aperture, shape, exine strata and orientation. So in this way, by observing all this character, we can make an observation of each species. Then these morphotypes will be really helpful for the taxonomists to differentiate in between the closely related species. Now next we see the requirements for the practical. So see that here we require the acetic acid, alcohol, acetylysis mix, potassium chloride, one normal HCl, glycerine, safranin, light green and pollen grains. So let's see that how we are going to prepare the acetylysis mix. So see that this acetylysis mix, it is the combination of acetic anhydride and concentrated H2SO4 in the proportion 9:1. So this is your acetylysis mix solution. So see that whenever you are going to use the acetylysis mix solution to observe the pollen grains, it will give the best result. You are able to see whatever the exine strata, the exine morphology, the number of apertures and the shape of pollen grain clearly. So see that here we can follow the procedure in two ways. So to evaluate that which stain is more efficient to stain the pollen grain, here in this first procedure we are going to use four stains. In first stain we are going to use the safranin. Second we are going to use the acetylysis mix. In third one we are going to use the one normal HCl, and in the fourth stain here we are going to use the light green. uh, uh, this is simply for we are going to recognize in which stain the pollen grains look very efficient one, or we are going to recognize them, their shape, size, and orientation overall. So see that. So for that one, for the first procedure, what you have to do, you have to collect first the flowers. You have to collect the pollens from the flowers, and you have to keep them into the 70% alcohol. So to remove all the derbies or dust particles from that anther, firstly you have to centrifuge that pollen grains for 2 to 3 minutes uh, inside the 70% alcohol, and you have to repeat the same procedure for 2 to 3 times to remove all the derbies from the pollen grains. Then you have to take one test tube. In that test tube you have to add the pollen suspension that you have prepared in 70% alcohol, plus here you have to add one drop of saffron. This test tube you have to take for centrifugation for 5 minutes under the 500 rpm. Okay, so this is about the first test tube. Then you have to take the next test tube, second test tube. In that you have to add the pollen suspension plus your acetylysis mix solution. You have to heat it uh, at the 90 to 100 degrees Celsius for 5 minutes. Then you have to centrifuge that tube for 5 minutes. So this is your second test tube. In the third test tube, what you have to do, you have to take the pollen suspension plus here you have to add the potassium chloride 1 pinch and one normal HCl. Then the same way you have to go for centrifugation. Okay, for 5 minutes under the 5000 rpm, sorry, 500 rpm. The next one, in the fourth test tube, again you have to add the pollen suspension, and you have to add here one drop of light green, and once again you have to centrifuge that tube. Okay, so after performing the centrifugation of all that test tube, you have to add one drop of glycerin there, and you have to just collect the one drop from the supernatant, put it on the slide, uh, take a cover slip and observe under the microscope. So here what we get, so the centrifuge tube which is along with the acetylysis mix solution, the pollen grains which are stained by using the acetylysis mix solution, they get properly stained. Otherwise you can directly use this procedure in which you are going to use directly acetylysis mix. Here we are skipping all the three stains, that is saffronin, light green, and HCl. Here we are going to use only the acetylysis mix, and we are going to centrifuge the test tube along with the pollen suspension and acetylysis mix solution. And after performing the centrifugation, we are going to take one drop from the supernatant and observe under the microscope. So see that whenever we are going to complete that acetylysis procedure, so after performing the acetylysis, whenever we are going to observe the pollen grains under the microscope, so here I will take some of the examples. So see that here the first example, that is the pollen grains from Argemone mexicana. So after performing the acetylysis under the microscope, you are going to see the structure like that. So see that here you are clearly identifying the shape of the pollen grain. You are going to identify how many number of apertures are there, as well as here you are going to observe the exine strata. Okay, so see that here in the Argemone mexicana, the pollen grain, it is circular one. Then it is a 3 to 4 zonocolpate. Zonocolpate means these apertures, they are equally distributed along their axis at their edges. This is called as an zonocolpate. Then the size of that pollen, it is 24 into 27 micrometer, while it is oblate, spheroidal, and the exine thickness. Here you have to check the size and thickness of exine by using the ocular micrometer. Okay, so here the exine thickness, it is generally about 3 micrometer, and the surface of exine, it is reticulate. Then see our second example, which we have observed after performing the acetylysis, that is aza directa indica. So see here the pollen grains, they are almost circular. Then they show presence of four apertures. So what is the role of that apertures? So from that apertures or from that germ pores, the pollen tube grows or pollen tube comes outside. Okay. So see that here the pollen grain, it is circular. It is generally 4 zonocolporate. The size of pollen grain, that is 55 into 39 micrometer. Then the exine thickness, it is generally about 2 micrometer, and the surface is piscillate, means it is not actually the circular, it is somewhat zigzag like, shows presence of crust and tuft. Then our next example, after performing the acetylysis of pollen grains of Begonia variegata, here we are going to observe the structure of pollen grain. So see that the pollen grain, it is not actually, we can say, the circular one, or it is a triangular one. So see here the shape of pollen grain, we called it as an oblate spheroidal, and the size of pollen grain, that is 56 into 62 micrometer. Then so see that here you are clearly observe the three zones, or you can say the three apertures. So this is a three zonocolporate structure, while here the zones, or you can say the apertures, they are angular here. And the exine, if you are going to observe here, so exine is straight, and generally the size of exine which is present here, this is generally about 4 micrometer. Then the next example, that is callistemon. So whenever after acetylysis you are going to observe the pollen grains of callistemon, see that it looks clearly triangular. Here you are going to observe the three apertures, that's why it shows presence of three uh, zonocolporate structure. Then the size of pollen grains, that is 15 into 20 micrometer, it is oblate. Then the exine is thin, surface is piscillate, see here surface is piscillate, and the size of exine, it is generally about 3 micrometer. Then the next example, that is Cyperus rotundus. So see here the pollen grain is somewhat circular or oblate spheroidal. You say here the oblate spheroidal pollen grain is present in Cyperus rotundus, which shows the presence of four apertures. See here 1, 2, 3 and 4. The four apertures are present on the pollen grain, while the size is 27 into 23 micrometer. The exine surface, it is thin and it is piscillate, and the size of exine, it is generally about 3 micrometer. Then the next example, that is Citrus medicaginea. So see here whenever you are going to observe the pollen grains after performing the acetylysis, so see here you are going to observe the pollen grain having the shape oblate spheroidal. The size of the pollen grain, that is 24 into 22 micrometer. It shows the presence of four zones, or you can say four apertures. So it shows presence of four zonocolporate structure, or sometimes the other species of citrus, they also shows presence of 5 zonocolporate structure, while the exine, if you observe here, so the exine, it is reticulate, and the size of exine, it is 4 to 5 micrometer. Then the next example, that is Delaunix regia. So after performing acetylysis, if we are observing the pollen grain, so see that it is completely spheroidal. Then the size, it is 51 into 55 micrometer. You can also say that they are the subtriangular structure. It shows the presence of three apertures, 1, 2 and 3. So it shows the presence of three zonocolporate structure, while the exine, it is reticulate. So see here, if you observe here the exine nature, as like whenever you are going to observe the epidermis, okay, so it looks like that. So that type of structure it is called as an reticulate structure. Then the next example, that is Hibiscus rosa sinensis. So see that after acetylolysis it looks like that. So see that the pollen is pantoporate. Pantoporate means here the apertures they are present in overall the surface of pollen grain, while the meaning of zonocolporate is the apertures are only present at the edges, while the pantoporate means the five in number and they are present on overall the surface of pollen grain. Then the size of pollen grain is 100 micrometer. It is completely spherical. Then the exine size it is a 6 micrometer. Then if you observe the surface, so it is spiny, which is present in the hibiscus. See here, the spines they are generally 5 to 8 micrometer. Then the tips of that spines they are rounded here. See here, the spines they have the rounded tips. So this is about the pollen grain of or pollen morphology of Hibiscus rosa sinensis. The next one is the Phyllanthus imblica. So see that whenever we are going to observe the pollen grains after performing isotolysis under the microscope, we are going to observe the structure like that. So it is a spheroidal. It shows the presence of 3 or you can say the 4 zones. That's why it shows the presence of 4 to 5 zonocolporate structure. Some species of this one they also shows presence of 5 zonocolporate structure, or the 5 apertures are present here, while the exine it is reticulate and the size of exine it is generally 3 micrometer. The overall size of that pollen grain that is 20.33 micrometer. Then next one, the Ocimum santum. So see that here if you observe the pollen grain, it is somewhat spheroidal subulate. Then it shows the presence of 6 apertures. That's why it shows the presence of 6 zonocolpate structure. The size of pollen grain that is 30 into 36 micrometer, while the exine thickness which is present here, so see that here the exine which is reticulate one, and the size of that exine it is generally 2.5 micrometer. Then the next one, that is the Mangifera indica. So see that whenever you are going to observe after performing the acetylolysis, so see that the pollen grains they are oblate spheroidal. The size of them that is 21 into 24 micrometer, generally they are triangular. Then actually this is the 3 zonocolporate structure. It shows the presence of 3 apertures, and the exine here which is present is straight. Actually this is the photograph from SEM. So you are going to see that it shows the presence of uh, reticulate surface of the pollen grain. Then the next one, next example, that is Morus alba. So see that here also the pollen grain which we observed after acetylolysis, it is circular one. It shows the presence of 2 apertures. So it shows the presence of 2 zonocolporate structure, while the size is 18 into 20 micrometer. The exine is very thin here, and the surface it is granulose. Means for example, whenever you are going to take the section of groundnut by staining along with the Sudan 3. At that time under the microscope you are going to observe the oil droplets, okay, like a granules. So similar to that type, whenever you are going to observe this pollen grain under the microscope, you are going to observe the granular nature or granular surface of the pollen grain. Then the next example, that is Santalum album. So see here, the shape of pollen grain, it is a subcorrelate. The size of pollen grain, that is 24 into 18 micrometer. It is somewhat triangular. The structure of pollen grain, it is somewhat triangular, but it shows the presence of convex sides from all the sides. Then it shows the presence of three apertures. So it shows the presence of three zonocolporate structure, while the apertures, they show presence of or they are angular one. Then the exine, it is a reticulate one, and the margins which are present here, they are porous one. They show presence of pores. Then see that this is our observation table. So under the observation table, we have to take the first column, in which we have to make the pollens from the flower, then the size of that pollen grain in the micrometer, then the aperture type. So see here, in the Argemone mexicana, the size is 24 into 27 and the aperture is 3 to 4 zonocolpate. In Azadirachta indica, the size of pollen grain and the aperture, it is 4 to 5 zonocolporate. Begonia variegata, the size of pollen grain and the aperture is 3 zonocolporate. In Callistemon, the size of pollen grain in micrometer and the aperture is 3 para syncolporate. Then in Cyperus rotundus, the aperture is 4 colporate. In Citrus medicaginea, it is 4 zonocolporate. In Denolix regia, it is 3 zonocolporate. In Hibiscus, it is pantoporate. In Phyllanthus imlica, it is 4 to 5 zonocolporate. In Ocimum, it is 6 zonocolporate. In Mangifera indica, it is 3 zonocolporate. In Morus alba, it is 2 zonoporate. In Santalum album, it is 3 zonoporate. So if you are going to observe all that varieties, so see that these are the different plants, and different plants, they have different pollen size and different apertures, as well as the shape is also different. So in this way you are able to recognize the different plants or differences in between the two plant species. So in this way, by performing the pollen acetylysis, you can identify the morphological features of the pollen grain. So in this way, the practical of pollen morphotypes or pollen acetylysis can be made. So if you like this video, please like, share and subscribe my channel. Thank you.